Live from New Jersey, it is the Sensory Overload Show with your host, Rebecca Dean. And
And
I just always wanted to say that. Now I'm waiting for Temple Grandin to walk in the room or Jerry Newport, but we'll just settle for me. Okay.
oh boy, here
Good
we
morning,
go again.
beautiful.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, today
She,
is our second episode, or is this a second podcast? I'm not quite sure how to say it. They told me what I'm supposed to say, and they're standing right there. Don't think it's just me and Rebecca in this room. There's a bunch of people. Anyways, a lot to talk about today, and it's going to deal with just general phone calls and the heavy volume of them, and what those phone calls pertain to, and what that means to your business in this sensory industry, which is changing on the daily. But first, I would like to say to all my parents, I had two phone calls yesterday, one from Connecticut and one from New York, both on the East Coast. I'm not even going to get into the context of the conversations, but I am going to tell you this, and I mean this with all my heart. God would never give an exceptional needs child to anyone except an exceptional parent. And I mean that. So, on with the show. You got something to add to that?
no, I think it was well said.
I didn't even think about it. I was just thinking about them while we were sitting here. And I'm like, and you know how I am. I take this to bed.
Yeah.
I mean, I lose sleep over stories and what we can do to help and how we can help. But anyways, do you have any hot topics you'd like to talk about before we get rolling on the things I want to cover?
Yeah, the hot topic is that I did send out our first episode podcast before it's even it's launched to a bunch of clinic therapists that we became friends over time, right? Who got our sensory
Wait,
gyms.
stop right there.
What?
This is not our company motto. This is a fact, and you've heard me say it a million times. You make it sound like there's a couple that we become friends
No,
with.
we become friends with all of them. but
Yes,
there are
and here's
few
what is
that
the
are very
company? What do
close.
I always say? Our friendship doesn't end after the install is complete. That's when our friendship begins. Because I take it very personally to grow these clinics, to market these clinics. Because when I pick that clinic, I literally pick someone to hitch my wagon to, and that horse has to win the race.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
So is it begin or is it begins?
This
As being an immigrant in this country,
right.
I'm still I don't even know how I became a successful entrepreneur and clinic owner, and here we are and doing a podcast when I still have
I do. She's beautiful.
issues with my
She's done it all on her looks. That's how she's done it. What? Okay.
Anyway, so what I was saying was that I did send it out to some of our close friends of many, as well as our family members, and the feedback just has been crazy awesome. I was not expecting that. I asked for honest criticism, and they really enjoyed our content that we pushed out there. I guess we are our biggest critics. I am, at least. But they can't wait to hear all the stories that we have to share. We've already received a bunch of questions that they want us to discuss and talk about real issues, especially now with COVID. With COVID hitting us in so many ways, in families' lives, children's lives, businesses. They really want us to bring our perspective and some of the stories that we are hearing of struggles or strengths, or how people are reinventing themselves to overcome it. So I believe that's our biggest topic that they want us to address of many. So I just want to share that I'm excited for such a feedback on our first podcast.
I didn't get to see any of those, but
No.
I do believe you. And I have to say this, in dealing with phone calls, you know how many I take a day. Sometimes I'm on 3 different phones, juggling just everything. But here's the biggest thing that concerns me, and it's not coming from one therapist, it's not coming from one clinic owner, it's coming from parents. So that's why we're putting in so many in-home sensory gyms. It's ridiculous. I never thought the homes would outweigh the hospitals, the clinics, the schools, and all the other medical facilities. But the therapists, they're recommending to so many parents. What's happening here is your child needs reinforcement. Here's the thing that I'm hearing the most. I've worked 3 years with this child, and they're doing telecare.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked 3 years with this child, and it brings me to tears to see them going post beyond where they were when we started. You can tell when someone's on the verge of tears, and you've heard me. You've heard me. say, please, please, let's not cry.
I think we
And
do
I
spend a lot of
totally-
time trying to just be that supportive, and on the other side, I
It's
know you
not just
spend a
we're
lot of
supportive,
time.
we're understanding.
We are understanding
Wh-
because we see those struggles, we hear it, and we are going through it ourselves with our own kids, some of them.
I couldn't imagine, and believe me, I'm not blowing my horn. I don't think that we're above anything or anybody by any means. But we have a full-scale sensory gym in our basement.
Yes.
What would have we done? Imagine us being in an apartment. Imagine us being in a home with minimal backyard.
I can't.
4 kids trapped in the house. God
I don't know
bless
how
you parents,
families
man.
are doing it. That's
mean,
true.
To keep it together, if my son and my daughter were trapped in a home when they had the height of their issues, I don't know who to give in first. I'm crazy. One more thing I want to say before we get going is last night when I was doing a print for a product donation a company pops up on my MSN. Little boy special needs gets booted off the bus. His name was Jack.
Oh.
And his father had hyped him up and everything, first day of school, first bus ride. Gee, his first real connection was social communicating with a crowd of kids that are leaving the same thing he's leaving, the comfort of home, and going to a destination where we're all going to get together. No matter how exceptional need, kids make the association. I'm leaving, but I'm going to be with other people,
Sure.
so forth. He gets to the bus, and the bus driver won't let him on.
Why?
Starts an argument with the father. The father is arguing with him, and I can't quote this verbatim, but as he's arguing, the little boy gets so afraid, he runs off. The dad's thinking he ran home. He ran away.
But what happened?
At the age of 5. They shouldn't have said boy gets booted off bus. He never got on the bus. What they should have said is good father and wonderful child with exceptional needs is confronted by a masked madman being the bus driver. I don't even realize if
So wait,
people
he
realize
didn't let him on because he did not have a mask?
did not have the mask. And the boy was found roaming a neighborhood by a 14-year-old girl. God bless you. Good job. I read these stories, and you know how it infuriates me. And everybody in the cast is trying to have to stay calm no matter how mad you get. Look, if I would have been anywhere near that bus driver, somebody would have got punched right in the mouth. Because kids do not have to. If this is an adult thing.
You know what bothers me about this story is that.
Oh, hold on. I got to
Wait,
finish
hold
my
on.
point.
No, I have to because
The
I will
parents got
forget it.
pre-approval from the school board that the boy had a problem with the mask and he didn't have to wear it.
And
but
that's-
because it wasn't trans,
That's what I was going
the
to say. Is
breakdown in
that I'm like, this
communication.
is a bus driver picking up children who are going to be children with and without special needs, and whoever is supposed to transfer that information. I don't know what happened. Obviously, there was a communication breakdown, but I just can't.
Now, the little boy got to see a confrontation with his father in his
It breaks my
defense.
heart.
There are so many levels of wrong here that it doesn't break my heart. I'm traumatized as an
And
adult.
this is one of probably many stories. I mean, we keep hearing stories come out of things that you just do not expect that to happen still in school. I mean, I know some of my own friends with children with special needs have again, these became friends after they installed a sensory gym, of some of the, what's the word I'm looking for, just not treating the children the way they need to be treated, with the IP equality and the and the mandates that they put in place, getting them inclusive while excluding them. They're saying inclusive, but really they're being excluded.
No,
And
that's
then-
a whole nother podcast.
I know, but I'm saying it's so sad with everything going on that this child and this parent had to deal with this over a mask.
Yeah. So I want to say this, Jack. We're thinking of you, and I want you to know that the world and school is full of wonderful people. This was just a bad day. Call me. We'll talk. I will. This little boy wants something. I'll send him a free indoor swing set. Whatever he wants to help. You can't even mend stuff like this. Because I can remember things that happened to me as a child that impacted me so. It's no secret. I am one of those kids. I am. You know I've always been.
Do you want to share that story? Because
No.
not yet.
It impacted me so bad with my principal as a little boy that I had to buy that school as one of my production facilities.
Right.
I had to lock off that principal's office, and nobody is allowed in that principal's office for not because I want to do it for me, but for all the right reasons. I didn't want any of those bad memories to even brush off on someone, and they were so bad and so thick. You know, story. As soon as I
Yeah,
bought the school, I had my office furniture, a bottle of scotch, and a pack of cigarettes, and I sat there
but
and thought about every bad
you're
thing.
one of those very few people who pushed forward and move and really excelled uh, through whatever trauma you experience.
Right.
And it's funny. I was thinking about all the trauma that's the children are experiencing, the adults experiencing through this time period with what's going on around the world, and the life experience of trauma that you dealt with, I dealt with, and how people overcome it. Some go to the extreme ends with the suicide rates increasing, which is so sad. Kids choosing that, which is so sad. And then there are others who are pushing through and working hard and really investing into things to overcome all of these.
Yeah.
But trauma can also cause so many sensory processing issues that is environmental. Um, there really needs to be.
And when situations like that occur, it's not even a thought process that you should even be considering, because your brain is misfiring for all the wrong reasons. It's sending out all the wrong signals. I guess if I had to say anything to anybody, if I ever got to the point I couldn't imagine wanting to take my own life, I would have to somewhere say this: forget what's going on with me. I gotta live for my kids, because if I pull myself out of this equation, someone's getting enough on this math project.
I lost somebody close to that. So, to anyone who is at that down point, just like you extended to the little boy, please, there is help out there. Don't give up. There is hope. And call us.
Yeah, like I said,
There you
that
go.
whole thing started out with
Call
the little
us.
boy who couldn't get on a bus.
Yeah,
And,
we went off
parents-
tangent.
par-
But,
the
but all
father, I don't
important
know his
issues.
name. Congratulations, great job standing up for your son. It's funny how we as dads, people can say whatever they want about us, call us whatever they want. We don't care. Say something about our kids, and we're ready to go to battle. So our hearts are with you guys every step of the way. They truly, truly are. I'm just. It's things like this I can't just brush off. I wish I could call that family and say,
I know.
"Here."
We obviously had, even though this whole podcast is supposed to be unscripted, which is what we plan to be unscripted, certain issues that come up are brought up in the morning, we have to discuss it, because what the feedback I was saying is that, I'm sorry, I had to swat that. It was bothering me. There was this little bug. I just had to swat that. I don't even know if we're allowed to, but oops. Going off tangent. Talk about going off tangent.
Yeah, it's a pod snack.
No, the feedback that we received, and I never got to finish that because we got emotional, is that they love that we're sharing stories rather than information. Like, we can talk about sensory processing and everything else, right? But they want to hear more about our life experiences and our stories and how we get impacted and the reality of it, not something scripted. So let's just keep it unscripted. I think we were able to unload what was overloading our sensory before we started this podcast. So hopefully we didn't go too off track. So let's talk about the COVID issue and what's going on, because that seems to be the biggest question now that everyone wants to know is how do we overcome, how do we deal with the impact of it on our children regressing in their skills, businesses struggling to come back from everything that happened because of COVID, lack of therapists to work, right? Because some of them are choosing to continue on unemployment. So they're not able to find the right staff. I know they're having the same concerns with teachers who, the therapists know teletherapy, as good as it can be for what needs to be to address it, you need that one-on-one to treat a child and to teach that skill. The reimbursements that are being cut, so people are trying to reinvent the lack of socializing that's happening, that's taking place as an impact for the children and the behaviors that are coming out. Like, how do you address all of this, and what tools are out there to address all of this? And let me tell you, some of the stories that I'm hearing, like, thank God, from parents who have the gym, is they are inviting some of their friends and their community that they created after they started having the birthday parties at their homes, where they invited and they saw this sensory gym. They've created a community, and they're so grateful that they have this sensory gym at their home at their disposal, where they can address those behaviors. They can work on those development skills. They can work on those social skills by socially distancing, I guess, play. However, they're reinventing it. So it's so amazing to hear. So let's see what's on your mind
Let's
on that.
start out. Let's start out with the clinics, and I hate to offer almost a obituary as well as wedding vows, but this is how this really plays out. The clinics even realize that there are a lot of other clinics, smaller clinics, less established clinics, that are not going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even going to reopen their doors. But the bigger clinics who have been in this longer realize that they're not just going to reopen their doors. They're now going to have a flow of kids from other clinics. They're going to have other therapists looking for jobs. So I guess where we were so confused in the beginning because our mindset isn't there anymore. We don't own clinics. We have fun factory, play. We focus on those things, which is more service oriented. But these new facilities aren't aren't they aren't just looking at what they currently have and how they're going to flip the switch back on and go back to work. They're all already doing that. There are some kids that are in the clinics right now. They're looking at, once we flip the switch, how can we premiere something that's bigger and better than what we had before to reassure our parents we're here. These clinics are looking at this in almost a brilliant way to become not just a clinic, but almost like a service-oriented, no, a
Yep.
community-oriented business and location. Now they're my clinic owners, and this probably comes by way of therapists and their recommendations and their input, and justifiably so. It should be there. They're the ones that work with the kids. These therapists know their children as much as the parents know their children
Right,
when it comes
right.
from that angle. Is that these clinics are now putting in bigger facilities that can accommodate birthday parties. Number one thing parents call us about: had a birthday party, it was a nightmare. Went to blank, we're not going to say wherever, for the kids had meltdowns. Okay, now let's back up there. These clinics that are going to accommodate birthday parties are going to have a birthday party for Johnny, who is a child that they treat. And 9 out of 10 of Johnny's friends who get invited to this birthday party probably have familiar or very alike uh, issues or problems. That's why these two kids connect. What happens, and we'll get into our personal journey with that, is that those parents are like, this is the missing link. And they start attending the clinic on a cash pay, and they eventually get what services they need, or they get them immediately, such as in what we did. And the other thing is that these clinics are now offering open sensory night for families. It's blowing my mind how much they're putting together their own non-franchised model of like a kids boulevard
Right.
that we started to see what would
Several
it
years
take to
ago.
flip a clinic into a play facility, into a reinforcement facility, into a place where a child can self-regulate, but do so in an environment where there's other children, so we can start to strengthen the social communication component. And that's the first part of everything. So I'm so excited about, gosh, even they're looking at drop-off programs.
Right.
They're looking at, almost to the point of being somewhat of a kind of a daycare on weekends, or in situations where they can extend themselves to a parent. So I think there's a lot more kindness out there than we're even aware of. We're not the only do-gooders, but I think that there are people out there seeing that if we all do a little, we're going to accomplish a lot. And it's almost a shame that a world pandemic had to bring us back to that line of thinking. And when I got off a call yesterday, I remembered this like it was yesterday. We all remember 911. And I'll never forget the way it was said. Terrorists thought that attacking the Twin Towers would change this country, and it showed everything in a rubble. And then the next picture, they said it did, and all you could see was a street line with flags hanging outside. Terrible things bring tremendous things out of people in this country. And it's
Right.
so sad that we get so comfortable in our zones, in our worlds. We have a great life. But once we come out of them and we become the people who we were because we need to be again, wow, we're all supermen. So I'm listening to these clinics now and I'm saying they finally got the component that you and me were going after before we decided we were
Several
just going to
years
focus.
ago, yeah.
Yeah, and we had that facility, Kids Boulevard. You couldn't even book a birthday party there because we were so overbooked. We had parents wanting their kids in there for services. We had everything in line, and then we franchised it. We were like, we don't want to sell franchises. We want to help other clinics
Right.
see what
When
they can do.
we
And
went
now
to
it's
the
here.
Mm-hmm.
Not by
is
cause
here.
of good marketing, but by a world pandemic.
Right. I think it's really, like you said, it's good to hear that they are trying to reinvent themselves and trying to come out of the normal traditional box of adding different services, becoming a one-stop hub for families to stay and build a community instead of going from one place to another. I know we advocate for a lot, like if you are an OTPT or just an OT speech services, add other services, service providers to your practice to reinvent yourself. Look into birthday parties, and the reason again. Did you just knock your mic?
Yeah, I'm right-handed and I'm reaching left for my coffee and I have to.
Oh
read
well,
this,
you just have to work on your placement then.
I know.
Is
Yeah, as a therapist, you're going to help me with that later, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good.
but having services outside of just one-on-one therapy helps build that community. I mean, you stated that well. When the idea of doing birthday parties at my clinic was came to me about, what was it, 6-7 years ago, 2012, 2013 or so. Oh, that's more than that. 6-7 years ago. Yeah, there you go. It's because I did hear those stories of children just not having anyone show up at their birthday parties, and
Oh, man.
and also if they did go to a Chuck E. Cheese, just overwhelmed and having a meltdown, and everyone had to leave because the facility was just not going to accommodate. And it was brought up by a parent saying that
It was a YouTube newscast that they had Fun Factory on because they had the big event where these
Right.
kids came for the birthday party, and there were kids laying on the floor screaming and
Right.
holding their ears, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I never seen this. One of our marketing people sent it to us. I
Correct.
was like, wow, what a great marketing tool. Don't ever put it out there. It'll terrorize parents.
So, but
And
but
we
you
did
know,
it.
when that parent came to the sensory gym that we did in one of our facilities, we outgrew our 500 square feet to a bigger facility, and they're like, can we just do a little party for, without saying the name, on a Saturday? I'm like, yes, of course, just come and do it. And let me tell you, that alone and being there, I wasn't going to have anybody else work that time. I wanted to be there for this little boy. Just seeing the joy and the sparkle in that little boy's face in a comfortable place where he was actually engaging with all of
Because
the
he was
familiar,
familiar with it. Yeah.
yes, familiar gym. This is his,
Showing other kids how
Yes.
to use this. Yeah.
like,
this-
hey, this is my
I'm
place.
not the birthday boy. I'm the birthday king.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the tears after. And
Oh,
the,
man,
and the
parents.
grateful. I just knew.
Isn't it
again,
crazy how we would take our kids to a birthday thing and complain about the cost or something?
Yeah.
And yet, these parents appreciate every little thing to a level that you even, like I said, on the
Yeah,
other one, you
but
feel like a worse parent because of it, because
Right.
you expect so much more, and they're just hoping for the very minimal.
They are.
it's-
They're happy with the minimal. But
We're
I
gonna
don't know if
change
you
that.
remember. I came to you and I was like, listen, what do you think about building this concept? I'm like driving down with my kids. I'm like, I really think that we need to have a facility that is for the community. And you were all for it. You're like, oh, I mentioned this like 2 years ago. I'm like, I know you mentioned it, but it never clicked until 2 years later why it's important.
Yeah.
You know,
there's
and so having a place like Kids Boulevard and having families who did not want their child labeled just come to pay a membership, and then they know they have access to all of this therapeutic equipment. And seeing, I remember this grandma coming with their 2 sons with different
It
sensory
wasn't
stuff.
just grandmas; it was the nannies. It
The
was
nannies and the grandmas, but seeing them coming and telling us they're just coming for like play membership or reinforcement, but they're seeing just by using your sensory gym system, because it's a circuit system. I
Crazy
mean,
importance.
hold on. It really, I tell everyone, I'm like, you talk about sensory diet. your system that you've created, I mean, I always say it's magical again, not because I'm hitting on you.
Right. No.
It addresses every aspect of your senses. It's not just a swing, I'm not discrediting anyone who sells
It's a
just a swing.
transitional system that
It's
kids
it's
move forward without
it's
realizing
the
that that's the way
concept
it's
of
designed.
outdoor playground,
Right.
indoor, that they can learn the skills, work on the same skills, transition to the community, feel normal. It's working on climbing, jumping, and everything, not just swinging. Then you add the concept of the lights and the music and everything. So you're working on their auditory. And so, to me, it's working on your entire system. And you know what's great? Jean Ayres, who is obviously the sensory guru who started all the sensory integration things, she's like, the way you treat is by following the lead of the child.
Oh my gosh.
Our system allows for that. When you have one of those, and I know I'm getting like very therapeutic in this podcast, but when you have just a swing, you have to put that child on that swing and work on other skills.
I
But
think
when
our
you
first
have-
couple podcasts are going to be focused on this, anyways. Autism and how we
I
can
know
help.
I'm going off
and we'll
topic.
keep coming back to it because again,
But
being
it's important for
unscripted.
me to to know that our system, and it's going back to again COVID and trauma and everything, because our system is letting that child to initiate their own path of navigating everything, addressing and working on their own sense and to regulate themselves. It gives them a sense of, hey, I did it myself. They're so happy and so proud when they're able to slide down by themselves, climb up by themselves, ring the bell on the top of the rock wall by themselves. They are proud, they gain confidence, and that helps address any trauma that they may have experienced by making them happy.
It's almost like you want to see who I can be. Take your hand, take my hand and play.
Like, just
with
give me a chance. Let me just play over here, and I'll show you what I'm about. So
We can't just have 5 minutes now. I'm not.
did we really go that off tangent? Should we do this all over again?
No, we don't. We just keep on rolling here, and I'm going to make a very important point. With the clinics that are now seeing all these advantages and these bonuses to what they can add and what they've thought about in the past, but now they're going to implement. Here's how important. With me installing gyms in homes, or the Fun Factory company, that's huge. But here's what I love about the gyms. Even in the people who attended the gym, who had gyms installed in their home, still came back for the treatment
Of course.
and the open play because it was the social communication. Yes, they got the reinforcement at home, but the first part of moving forward is to be able to communicate. And to be able to communicate, we have to be able to do so with confidence and courage. And everything you talk about, watch me play, is a child building confidence. He now knows how to not just grab that swing and hang on to it because in his mind he wants to swing, but he doesn't know how.
Right.
Now he knows how to get onto it. Now he knows how to wedge wiggle. Now he knows how to pump and pull his feet. That all falls into the timing and the rhythm of the absolute central mechanics of that child working bilaterally. So we're working from center out. There's just so many things to say. So am I saying an in-home sensory gym is the answer? No, therapists are. But the same therapist that referred that to that parent realizes that in those gym settings, that child can come back and socially communicate.
Right.
Even kids that were very shy in the beginning couldn't wait to show other kids that were new in the gym a new face, how we do this, how we do that. And you could always tell who the leader was in that pack. And sometimes it was like watching a row of little ducklings. It was just huge great to watch them go through one end of the castle and then come out the other end. Then everybody up the stairs.
Right. They learn from other kids.
Because
They
they're
watch and learn
instantly-
from other kids. Yeah.
Even the kids that were just there 2 times. I used to watch the videos all the time. If they see 3 kids walking in a line, it's their inkling to be a part of that crowd, so they begin to follow.
Right.
And they begin. It's like when I do a rock wall and I start the rocks out very close, and then we move them further and further apart. So the
Right.
child doesn't even realize that they're not just expanding their skill set, they're unintentionally developing
levels,
a skill.
yeah.
A skill. So again, am I an advocate for clinics?
You have to be. I mean, obviously, the clinic and the therapist are key to set a plan and teach them the skills. The home gyms help provide the reinforcement, And this is what I would tell my parents all the time, whether it's they have a sensory gym or they're working on some therapeutic exercises. You have to work on that skill every day. If you have the tools to work on that skill very effectively, like a home sensory gym, where the child is going to learn to be independently working on that skills and guided by what the therapist has given, it's like going to a workout gym, right? The more you exercise
And
every day, you build strength, you lose weight. Why don't we do that to our kids? Our kids need that access. We invest into these exercise equipment that costs thousands and thousands. Why can't we invest into a home sensory gym that can, cost a couple of thousand too? But it has a lifelong impact on your child's development.
oh, absolutely. We have parents that say their their kids are moving from milestone to milestone with little to no effort. And again, it happens with the courage things. Look at the pictures I just showed you yesterday or the day before and sent them to marketing. That wonderful mom in Minnesota was
Oh
nice.
yeah,
They had
that
set
brought
up
a
a
smile to
room.
myself.
They had set
Yeah.
up a room
So
for their boy's gym.
innovative.
And at 3 o'clock in the morning, they would hear the chains jingling, and the boy would be
Right.
in there swinging. And they've had it for 6 months now. And they sent me pictures of where they took the mattress and put it.
Yeah, yeah, that's
He
so
sleeps
innovative.
under his gym.
Yeah.
And she says now he sleeps through the night. I live for that.
Yeah.
And if I can do one thing for a child that's going to help them become the person they need to be, and if I'm part of their confidence journey and their courage journey and their ability to take one step at a time, I'm not personally responsible for that, but I gave you the tools to do it. And if I say that makes me feel special, maybe that's a little self-centered, but
But you are special.
I know.
But it gives you, you're able to, again, we did our part.
Right.
You've done your part
So-
of how to help and give hope.
Yeah, but here's how I'm gonna close this off, I guess, because did that mean we only had 5 more minutes? 5 minutes ago?
I think it was
Okay.
5 more minutes, 10 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. I don't. But there's so much to say. I mean, there's only 500 things that we're gonna be touching base on.
I feel like whatever even though it was supposed to be unscripted, we said like we have to talk about that story and COVID and the questions that came about. We went so off
Yeah.
tangent episode 2.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What is episode 3, 4, 5, 6 going to be then?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things to talk about. But here's where I want to end for our clinics, and then tomorrow, well, the next one we'll talk about what we need to talk about, and that'll be based on whatever the heaviest concerns are, or the call pattern happens to match, or what I'm seeing or what I'm hearing. There's a million things to talk about.
But for the
for
clinics.
my clinics,
Yeah.
for my clinics, you guys are spot on. And I have people who've been in business for 20 years, and they literally say, I don't want to sound like I'm crazy. Like they're afraid to put it out there that we are going to go from the mechanical application of OTPT speech. Do you think it'd be smart if we did this? Are you kidding? You're preaching to the choir on that one. Call us. We can tell you every mistake not to make. We can tell you how not to have a retail division within your place. We've made every mistake in the book, just like my life. I'm not smarter than anybody by any means. I've made every mistake, and it's like
So have I.
It's like I say. My mom used to say that's a valuable mistake. I realize why she used to say valuable mistakes, because it costs so much money. We have toy
Oh,
inventory for the next. We give it away for birth. We try to
Definitely
make new
costs a
friends so
lot
we
of
have
money.
more kids to give presents to because we have so much stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So-
All right. So, anyway, I think for the clinic owners, it's important that you do take the time to reinvent yourself and really consider your business opportunities right now. Sometimes they do say during the challenging times, opportunities arise, right? Wait, did I say it right?
Yeah.
What is, there's
I
a
don't
phrase. I know
think-
there's a phrase.
I don't think we want to say reinvent yourself. I want to say critique because these people already have in place a successful, foundationally true business model. Their OTPT speech, their ABA, whatever. So now we need to add to the platform. I think we're not reinventing. We're looking. Here's how I'm going to end my thing, and then you can finish. It's a saying, and I don't know who said it. With COVID being what it is and all these new opportunities, I'd like to say to people who are afraid that this is not the end, nor is it the beginning of the end. This is only the end of the beginning, which makes it a brand new start. So I hope everybody wraps their hearts, their heads, their minds. You've heard me say it a million times, and I mean it. A therapist is nothing but a heart with a set of hands and feet. And if we do right by them, they're going to do right by the kiddos that parents are praying to God every time they bring them in, that there's the smallest improvement. I want to be a part of those improvements.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that people say, you know what, I can do this. I do have the space. I can add that. I want to do whatever I can to make that a possibility. I am truly, I don't have to tell you I'm not truly that passionate about it. You know how passionate I am about this. I want to help everybody. And that's the other company motto. We help thousands, help millions. Because you and me knew as clinics, we couldn't get to all these kids. But you had the realization that
You have to spend money to make money. And you have to do things that can, if you make money, then you can help more kids. Because guess what?
Right.
That's another thing that the therapist keeps saying is that, it costs so much money. Yeah, but if you invest into it, think about how many more children you can treat, how many more therapists you can hire, how many more kids you can impact. And you can take that money that you're getting now and expand on your business to service more kids. And you can help more. And you can probably donate to things. If you're not making money, then you can't.
You've heard me say it. When a clinic calls me and says, I just do this because I love the kids, I always say the same thing. Well, then when you can't pay your therapist and you can't pay your rent and you have to close your doors, how many people would you really help?
Right.
This is an industry where there is nothing wrong with making a lot of money doing all the right things for these children. You've heard me say it a million
Well, not
times.
just making money. You have to also spend money.
Right.
Right?
Well, the one way to spend money is to have to spend by making
Oh,
it.
geez. Are we going to go in circle now?
Yeah. What kind of math
Anyway,
equation
I
is
think
this?
we have exceeded our time limit for this episode.
What are our
I am
time
not
limits?
too happy with this episode number 2, honestly, because I feel like we were jumping all over the place. But I guess you guys will let us know.
We'll get grounded
no.
with this, and I don't even want that edited out. What she had to say there is important to me. I mean, it's also important. It's important that everybody gets to hear our thoughts, whether they think that we know that they're listening or they're not. It
That's
is that
true.
important to me.
We're just getting it out. We're just sharing our stories.
Yep. God bless. I hope that there was some takeaway here in regards to being a clinic owner. Again, if there's anybody that you need to call and lean on or ask questions, please. We're not just experienced with installing the gyms. We're also Playaway Toys. I've been a manufacturer for the exceptional needs industry for 30 years. We've owned clinics. We've had therapists. We know where you're at, where you're going, and we can help you get there.
Insurance questions, open gym stuff, what kind of liability insurance to get when you have. I mean, there's so many questions that therapists keep calling us on that we didn't even realize we were this wealth of knowledge to share that we refuse to put in a book. So now we're going to share with the world via our podcast. So
Little
cheers.
by little, like a
By
fine
the
wine.
way, today I have from one of our travels, Springfield, Missouri.
Springfield, Missouri.
And you are, of course, Christmas.
Of course.
So,
Ho, ho, ho.
cheers.
Yeah.
Let's go. Roll it. Oh, yes. Thank you. Our
Thank you.
Our next podcast, guys, we are so new to this. Our next podcast, which I'm really nervous about because I'm very private. First of all, this is very hard for me to do, even share anything publicly. We're going to go live. Yikes.
Now
We're
what
going
about
live.
your editing? Now what about your editing? There is no editing.
We haven't even thought about it. We made it very clear. Good, bad, or ugly. We're not going to edit anything.
As much as you have to say and as good as it will do, there's nothing to edit out.
Wait, so are we going live on Facebook? And we're going live on YouTube? Really? And taking questions. Okay, wait, I'll redo this. Join us.
I have to
Join
live
us
with her.
at the next episode on the Sensory Overload Show with Troy and Rebecca. We are going live on Facebook and YouTube, and we will be taking your questions. So please tune in. Adios. Why do I say adios?
I have no idea. Arrivederci. Bye.
Bye.